Good morning. Breakfast. How you going, Willow? Yeah, he doesn't. Co-host doesn't care today. Other co-host, how you going? Yeah, real chatty Cathy's, aren't they? Not. Was it because, like, Cathy's chatty and it just took on in a country town and then it spread around the world? Chatty Cathy? If your name's Cathy, are you chatty? Why do they do this to people's names? It's so unfair. You know, they do the Karen thing. That's not fair. I'd be highly offended if that was my name. I think we should stop doing that for that reason. Anyway, my breakfast is yogurt, banana, and rice bubbles. Topic of the day. Well, the morning. Don't let me forget. It's been a long week, and yet it's only Wednesday. I'm in for it. Look, I've got pressure. I will show you the pressure I'm under right now. Okay. I have 3 things to build of Lego. Okay, today. Well, that's what I've put pressure on myself to do, but I don't have to. But the goal is to do so. But yeah, that's my goal today. Okay. But we will hear all that. We will see. Now, one of them a 4-year-old can do, another one an 8-year-old can do, and the other one a 6-year-old can do. I'm 50. I should be fine. Famous last words. Don't worry, I've had kids, and I've put together things that say that it's just for an 8-year-old. No, I'm like, is it? Because I'm struggling. Anyway, I was a youthful parent, a young parent. Not that young. Well, I was young, really, for my cohort of generation. I was 20 when I had my first baby. On purpose, not an accident. They're whispering over there. So, topic of today is about what's my thoughts on psychology that's different to what maybe people would expect of someone who's studied psychology. Right. Now, you can either take this from a philosophical perspective, a historical perspective, so there's 2 options there, or a or a religious perspective. But the fact is, I have a very differing view of a psychologist existing in our society. Now, to all the psychologists out there, or to anyone who goes to a psychologist, please try to not take this as a direct sort of like criticism, because I say what I say with my beliefs, with the understanding of how life has become the way it has out of the way the structure has been designed. It's no one's fault. But I think if people can maybe hear this, maybe they can step back, and in the future maybe we can be different. But the here and now, I get why it is like it is. So don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong if you're a psychologist or if you're seeing a psychologist. Don't feel like that's wrong. It's not wrong. I'm just wanting to give you my perspective, because at the end of... See, that eye's doing it again. Because that perspective I'm giving you today, what I want from this, it's only a dreamy kind of thing really, is I want it to go into the future. And because I'm so passionate about psychology that I've been studying it since 2000, which is 24 years, and I feel like as an autistic or an out-of-the-box thinker, I feel I have a lot to offer for at least just people to listen. Dump it if you want to dump it. That's what you should do in life. You weigh it up. You listen, you think about it, you chuck it, you keep it, you use some of it, whatever. But trust me, with every 7 years, we change. So you might not understand it now, But I can tell you, being 50, sometimes when you get older, you go, oh, I was wrong. Happens all the time. Don't feel ashamed. You can only do what you can do with what you know at the time you know. I don't know if that made sense, but anyway, it's just the truth. You can only do what you can do at the time of what you know. There's nothing wrong with that. That's being human. You have the right to be young and stupid. Okay? When you're young, you don't have the experience. Doesn't matter. So if anyone ever says, you know, like, oh, you're young, you don't know anything. Yeah, I'm young. Give me a chance. It's not right, right? And then same with if someone's older. You know, people speak to you and they say, oh, you know, just because you're older doesn't mean you know more. It's like, no, but kind of does. Because some things you weren't here for. You didn't experience. To be like some of you out there, some of you, probably not most of you, because I think my audience is quite mature, but I don't know. I hope I've got some youngins, because you guys, I really want to help. I want your life to be super cool, much better than what mine was. But I'm just saying, 9/11, for example, September 11, the buildings, life-changing. The understanding of politics. I used to think in my 20s, I don't care about politics, except for welfare politics. Because I was working in the field at the time, and I had to be talking to MPs, talking to all sorts of politicians, and going to meetings. I had to be sort of involved in that stuff, you know. Didn't want to be, but if you want to get your people's stuff, and you have to speak to the politicians and say, hey, these people that you caused to be illiterate need your help, right? So yeah, just things like that. But basically, I want to talk about my opinion of the study of psychology and why people do it is to become a psychologist normally. For me, I would have done much better staying in the field of either teaching it or being autistic. I could not be a counsellor. I could not be a counsellor because I cannot pick up on social cues. I cannot pick up on body language. I've read Alan Pierce, the body language book, more times than I can count, and it doesn't mean anything. But guess what? When I was running my non-profit, I used to have lots of activities for the ladies, right? I'd always make sure there'd be like someone to come and give a presentation, whether it's to do with health, whether it's to do with just doing crafts or activities. I had laughter yoga, we had Tai Chi, we had a lot of great activities. Those were the good years, as in the good moments of my life, before I got sick to the point where I had to admit, Becca out. That's a quote from a movie. Anyway, probably doesn't make sense to most of you, but if you watch Pitch Perfect, you'll know what I mean. I love that movie. I've seen it 5,000 billion times. Happy movie. I get singing. I just love singing along with that one. Bit like ABBA. Anyway, back to the story that I'm trying to tell, because I'm a little bit ADHDing today. So, what I'm trying to say is that, what am I trying to say? That basically, you study psychology, and that's the study of normal behavior. And most people's goal with that is to be a psychologist. They might be a registered psychologist, which is a 4-year studied psychologist, or you might be wanting to become a clinical psychologist, which is 6 years, and then I think it's plus a couple of supervision years or something like that, because that's a longer journey. Plus you got to do your own therapy for so many hours, I guess, to prove that you're not autistic probably. So anyway, I wouldn't be able to pick up that anyway. And the thought of sitting in one room listening to one person's problem is a bit of a nightmare thought to me. Because I'm the person that, being autistic, sometimes it's hard for me to go to the level of where they're at. So say if I'm sort of feeling happy, but that person is struggling, it's hard for me to go into that with them because I'm not there. And when you're autistic, you struggle to... We have empathy, but we struggle to empathize sometimes because if we're in a different headspace and we're not noticing the headspace of someone else, as you can imagine in a therapeutic situation, that's pretty dangerous, right? So anyway, it's pointless even going to the depth of it because it would just never be a good thing. But I could have gone into, doing, research and stuff like that. That would have been wonderful. I loved doing that. Except I didn't like the fact that every time you do, every person that you would do the experiment on would be like, what is this for? Or what do they want to know? Like, are they studying my brain and how I think, or if I'm crazy? I'm like, okay, we're not psychiatrists, so yeah, okay, we do learn abnormal psychology. Don't get me wrong. We learn criminal psychology. Don't get me wrong. Personality, all of that, including the crap personalities. But still, it's just, no, we don't. I remember when I was only year one psychology, and I went to a wedding. One of those weddings that's it's your partner's friend, and you don't know the partner yourself, and you don't know any of their family or friends. So you go to this wedding and you're like, I don't know anyone, and I'm autistic. I don't really drink, so okay, this is gonna go great. And I'm sitting at the bar getting my Coke, my Diet Coke, and ice. That's my stuff. Like, I love that stuff. I could drink Diet Coke and ice all day, every day. Legit. I don't drink alcohol. I can, and I do sometimes, but I don't need to, and I don't really bother to because my body doesn't really like it. But anyway, that's not the point. So I'm just, but yeah, these people, they're getting their spirit drinks, that they're drinkers. So I'm like, oh, and I'm young, I'm young, and I'm like, oh, they're spirit drinkers, and I'm out of my element. And Matt was somewhere else, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I was young, inexperienced. I've had, and I'll do a video on that, I've been in many bad situations because I cannot pick up on bad cues at all. So it's very, very dangerous for me as a female. So basically, I'm at this bar with this couple, and they're like telling me all their problems. Only because they said, oh, what do you do? Because in our day, that's what it was like. What do you do? See, I don't ask it because I'm just like, oh, hi, how are you going? And, it's a great wedding, isn't it? And I'll talk about the table ornaments or something naturally. I mean, I'm interior designer. So that I'm into that stuff. But that's the kind of thing I'd say. Oh, I love and I can't remember of that wedding, but there was a really particular nice, table arrangement that I was really impressed by. But anyway, they start telling me everything. The whole family, the in-laws, the family. And I'm just like, I'm just studying human development at this point. I'm not studying how to therapize people. That's not a real word. Made it up. But I'm just like, oh shit. I'm not telling people that I'm at university right now studying psychology ever again. So I tried the thing of, I'm just at university. What are you studying? Oh, psychology. And then you get the same thing. Oh, like this. Oh, you're just like, oh, fuck's sake. That's what made me realize. Okay, I'm focusing on and as soon as I kicked off in research methods, I thought, I got this. As soon as I got good scores on my reports, as in my scientific reports, which turn into journal articles, which is what journal articles look like, but ours are amateur ones when you're doing undergraduate, you know. But nonetheless, it's just as hard as what they have to do. So, you know, I got really good at that, and I'm like, that's probably where I'll hang out. Like, I think that's more cool, you know, in offices with other nerds that love psychology, and not with the people with the problems. No offense, I truly care. But being an autistic, it's hard to help others when you have alexithymia, you don't understand social settings very well. You can't help yourself, let alone help others. So it's best to navigate your own life and leave it at that. That's why I need my speech therapist every now and then. Not at the moment. But so does Social Story as well. Does a pretty good job. But basically, the reason why I don't like it, like I said, you can call it philosophical, historical, or religious, is I don't think a person, a human, should pay for someone to listen to their pain and suffering. I think it's disgusting. I think it's materialism just showing its ugly head to the max. I think it's not what God ever intended. Even if you put that philosophically, I don't think that's just nice at all. I mean, I can't imagine someone coming over to my house for lunch and then me saying, like a restaurant, here's the bill. It just does not feel right. We need to go back to elders that the person trusts and chooses to go to. We need to encourage maybe siblings supporting each other. Still, once again, turning to your parents is always a good option. Parents can be annoying, absolutely, but you can take from what they say what works for you and dump the rest. You don't have to take it all. But the fact is, your parents know you the most, and your parents know the world the most because of the age differential there, right? You can't deny that. That's just experience you can't get without the years ticking along, right? That needs to come back into fashion. Your boss at work should be a confidant. Absolutely, they should be. You should have someone that you can literally speak to about anything, and it's confidential, and you work through it, and you have someone to lean on for work stuff. I just don't think you should pay someone to listen to emotions. And also, having emotions is not a mental problem. That would be, and we have to put it this way, insulting to people who have a mental illness. People who have a mental illness truly need the psychiatrists, the psychologists, all of that kind of stuff. The rest of us just need to work through, and really the mastery here is adaptation, okay, but that's like a big deal thing to achieve. That's why when you get to my age, we are all so don't give a fuck kind of attitude. The reason is just because we get to that point. You get to the point where you go, it doesn't matter what anyone does to me, I will adapt. I will adapt. I've done it before and before and before, and I'll keep doing it. You get to that point where you actually master it, but it doesn't mean you can't master it younger than that. I believe that, and I believe these psychology situations, no, you're not allowed to do that behavior. Sorry. No. Good boy for listening. We don't scratch the sheets, do we, sir? Mummy can't afford that. He's kind of looking the other direction, like, I'm not going to listen to you, Mum. See, I'm not a pure walkover. My kids knew when I meant business. He knows when I mean business because he's pampered. Good boy. I like your listening skills right now. Okay, so basically, at the end of the day, okay, don't give me those eyes. That's what gets me. My kids did the same thing. Yeah, they just give you that. Then you just go, oh, far out. All right, let's go to the shops. Let's get some donuts and stuff. Anyway, I did discipline, but I also overcompensated. Sometimes it doesn't work out well, but no, it actually does, because my kids are, in my eyes, very mature, secure, capable, smart, as in like all the smarts.
Thanks.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I am, thanks. What the fuck? Two seconds. Anyway, so I just asked Google to repeat that. And he did. He said, thank you, you're making me blush. I got him to repeat it again. He said, thank you, you're making me blush. Before that, he said, thank you, I am. After I just praised what my kids are. All right, to me and my sons out there, when you get to the point of watching this video, that's our guardian angels, boys. I don't know who, but there's a message in that. You can work it out for yourself, okay? All right. I know one of you and us are friends with God. He's telling us something. Let me know if you know, because I have no idea what that just meant. But anyway, I'm a mama. I'm always going to brag about my sons. Okay? That's just how it's always going to be. All right? They're perfect. Okay? And anyone gets in the way of me and my child, and they're dead. That's what kind of mama I've always been. Or same with now they have partners. It's my whole little family there. You know, you mess with it, I come in and I karate chop. Okay? I protect my people. And whoever my son's people are, their partners, their children, whatever, are my people. So I'm very protective. But anyway, that was weird. I will look at the video back maybe when it's up. I don't like watching my videos. But anyway, I will look at roughly around 20 minutes, obviously. It's freaky. All right, so back to what I was saying. I believe that paying for emotional support is disgusting and is equivalent to sex work. Why should people also have to pay for that? No. No. And one thing I know for sure that this society is trying to divide is families. So know this. The best thing you can achieve in your life right now in this current era is making sure that your family is together. And I'm not meaning up each other's butts and annoying the shit out of each other and being codependent. No. I mean, you are just being a little community to each other and being, you know, there for each other. Because this world wants to divide, including races and different cultures and different countries. And stop. Human. I don't care. I don't care about all of the things that you have as identities, which I'm not saying like you just put them there on purpose. We all have an identity. I don't care what yours is. Sorry, but I'm a Bible person. We're all God's children and we should love each other, no matter what. And that's not happening. Charging money to listen to someone's problems is just, in my eyes, immoral. They're not doing it, though, with this understanding. So I'm sure a psychologist will be fuming to hear this, but let me tell you this. If you are one, I know your intention is definitely not that. So that should change your perspective. And if you don't understand that, then you need to learn a lot more about life to really be having this conversation with me right now, because I don't have time to explain the fact that the way the society's been created is different to who you are and what your intentions are and the work you're doing. So don't take offense, because this is aimed at why psychologists were invented by the government, why the concept was put out there, including psychiatry. I think it's gross. I think psychiatry is overreaching, overtaking, and making people that are not the way they're being told they are. And I won't go into that because, you know, Big Pharma, I'm just not going into that, to be quite honest with you, because I'm just not. No way. But let me just say, on psychology, because of what I've studied, I believe it should be taught in primary school, high school, any university degree that involves you having to work with people. Like relevant stuff, because psychology is a big area, so you don't need to learn everything, but I'm saying elements of it in primary school, relevant to primary school stuff, elements for high school stuff, and elements for, you know, whatever you're going into, whether you're becoming a teacher, whether you're becoming, I don't know, like, I don't know, a nurse, I don't know, other professions, right? There's a reason that some psychology should be in those courses, but I just don't believe, it's a bit like, let me use the example, look at what's happening, and I think we need to listen to this as a societal lesson, because you can say it's a different country, but it doesn't matter. It's not a different country in my eyes. It's a bit like, I'm a John Lennon person. What if there is no borders? Take away the borders. We're just people. We're all just living in different... It's a bit like, you know, someone you know doesn't live in the same suburb as you. Some people live in a different country than us. That's it. We're still people. So basically, what I mean by that is, at the end of the day... Lost my train of thought again. Oh, yeah. So basically, in all of the dramas going on in the US, and I really want to say I am sincerely praying for you guys and thinking of you guys, and I have been watching the news and I am paying attention, and my thoughts are with you guys. It's just like when my country has its own floods and things, but you're having a really bad one. You've had a lot of devastation, and I just want to acknowledge that, because... But if I go any further, I'll cry. So let's leave it too deep. But let me just say this. The community has been threatened criminally to be charged for helping their fellow town. Think about that. They've done the same thing for mental health. Don't talk to a friend or a family member. Talk to a professional. Same thing. Why are us humans being diminished to being defective? We can't handle having a heart-to-heart with a friend who's feeling really low. What a crock of shit! You know your friend better than that therapist that's probably been working with them for 8-10 years than the friend does. Because normally if someone's going to someone in trouble, if it's a friend or family, it's someone they know very well, right? They might have gone to high school with them. They might have, you know, I know that with my friends. Like, there's a relationship with my high school friends that is not the same that I have with my uni friends even, which was not long after high school. And then people that I've met in different workplaces after that, then there's a different level again. It changes depending on the length of time, the bond of what age group you were when you bonded maybe. There's many factors, guys. But to say you must see a psychologist, don't speak to anyone else, must be professional. To me, that is the big people that run everything, you know, that we have to vote all the time. That's overstepping in my eyes. And then I have to make statements like this. I am not a mental health practitioner. Seek help professionally if you have a mental problem going on at the moment, or a stress or whatever. But for entertainment purposes only, what if a really good friend could really sit down with you if you just said to them, hey, I'm going to be honest and vulnerable with you, and I really hope you can respect me in this, friend. I really need you right now. I really want to sit with you when you've got some time and talk. What's wrong with that? To me, that's a safer, better option. If you look up weekly the amount of assaults to women in psychology and psychiatry sessions in your state in Australia, if you just look up in a Google frickin' search, SA, your town, put in the word, I don't know, you could put psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever. Just do it every now and then. It's just not natural. And when it's not natural, that's why those things happen. It's almost like, I'm not justifying it, I'm just saying, if it's not natural, things like that will happen. It's a bit like they say when I was learning child protection, welfare, you learn older children should never, a teenage child of any age in teenage years should never be in charge of children who are very young. It's in the law. There's reasons for that. Even the parental units, the bathing should only be done by one parent for each sex child, blah, 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 blah. They don't write that for no reason. Okay? So, then they go put you in these rooms with these people and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody's hearing, and I'm not talking about that even now. Now I'm moving on to what they're putting in that person's head, what they're missing from that person. Are they reading them right? Because they don't know them. They know them sitting in an office, but they don't really know them like how they wake up in the morning and what their first thoughts are, or how they go to bed at night and what they stress about, or what their habits are around the house. Family and friends know these things. Especially our school friends. They kind of know everything. Most of them have frozen our bras. Okay? That's kind of weird, actually. But it's just a true fact. It's called sisterhood bonding in teenage years. Anyway, I'm just saying. And then also, the only reason in the past with religion, it's not the same now, is they'd say, go to your priest, go to your pastor, go to whatever. However, that was in the era of people grew up in small towns and they grew up with the same pastor, the same priest the whole time. That doesn't exist anymore. And it's also not safe. We know that. Let's take a drink to that. Big topic, that one. Leave it. So I'm just saying, think of everyone that's had to take on that role that's not an elder from the family, not someone who's either a peer, like I said, a school friend, a work friend, a uni friend, I don't know, a friend you play basketball with. I don't know. Me, I used to have my dancing friends. Actually, I've lost most of those except for maybe on the internet I'd be connected with them. But I'm saying like in person, yes, I've lost touch with those people, but they were like my dancing friends. Gosh, I mean, you undress in front of each other because of the circumstances of changing. And then you're together a lot because when you're doing like, I know particularly performances like on weekends, you know, you're spending the whole weekend together. And if you're doing certain, I don't know, preparation for certain events. You can be spending the whole day on like a Saturday or whatever dancing with them, right? So compared to schoolwork and school's getting done and you only get recess and lunch, totally different scenario. Whereas at dancing, you get to know people pretty well. And then the families as well are always a bit more knowing of each other than say school parents of our school friends. So, basically in my eyes, it is better to go to someone you know than to a professional. And then I'm seeing people go, oh, don't tell me your problems, go to a therapist. Yeah, but if you're having a proper relationship, like a friendship, I'm not even talking the romantic relationship, just a relationship should always involve all components of a human. So it includes emotions, right? For men and women. And that should be done by whoever the person feels right with. And I think that now that they brought this psychology thing into Australia, it never used to exist when I was a kid. It was, if you went to a psychologist when I was a kid, something was really wrong. A bit like with me, I would have seen probably more pediatrician side of things though for developmental delays. I would have been, seen by special education teachers, but to see a psychologist, that's pretty full on. Only the true mental illnesses, the really big ones like bipolar, say major depression and schizophrenia, and I'm talking like major as in like really serious, we're seen by these types of professionals. Whereas today, it's everybody's going. That makes me sad. Because what it means to me is everybody that's going doesn't have a safe person in their family or friend circle that they can go to. Or they haven't thought of it, which makes it even sadder because they're not actually seeing that a real relationship is that. If someone can't be there at your worst, why should they be there at your best? We have that expectation in relationships that are romantic. We have so many expectations. Well, when you have friendships, you should have the same expectations. And you should be there for each other. Now, if you don't have friendships, that's a personal choice, just like some people don't have romantic relationships as a choice. You don't have to have one. It doesn't make you a better person having one or not having one or whatever. Same with friends. You can choose to have friends and you can choose not to. Some people don't need friends. It is a true fact. But people always have someone they can turn to. They don't need a psychologist. They don't need a professional. And that's why when I did psychology, it didn't sit right. I think everyone should be given the information that I learned to enough of an extent to function in their own life. That's why I was into self-development. I encourage you to be into self-development. Adaptation is key. That's what you call, like, if you want to get to the peak, has Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need to look at that. But then even more than that, you need to be resilient. You need to be adaptive. If you know you've got that down pat, then you're all good. You need to be good with boundaries. That's a big one. I noticed that not only etiquette's changed, there's no boundaries. Trust me. Read a book on boundaries and see how you feel, because I don't know where you're at with that, because everybody's raised differently. Everybody has different knowledge of boundaries, but boundaries are a very important one. And a lot of people get them wrong. They're two-sided. Always remember that. You can set them, but so can the other person. But I'm just saying, boundaries is something to look into. There's many books on it. Can't recommend one, sorry, because there's just too many on them. There's too many. But make sure it's from an actual reputable psychologist that's written it, because they then will be using the actualized theories. Because sometimes, sadly, anyone can write a book, guys. Anyone can write a book. Know that. Be careful what books you buy and believe, because anyone can write a book. They don't monitor that, okay? So just be careful of that. But basically, so long as they are social, a social worker, a psychologist, anthropologist, someone who studied human behavior, someone who actually knows the actual theories, because then if they're going beyond that into their own way of thinking on it, at least it's coming from the basis of real psychology, okay? But because this is, for entertainment purposes only, please seek a mental health practitioner if you're having a mental struggle. But for entertainment purposes only, I'd say give it a go, having a chat to someone that you know and trust, and see how it goes. Because, and even just sitting and having a chat to yourself, if you don't believe in God and don't want to pray, just sit and have a chat to yourself. I know that sounds like, but I'm not like multiple personalities. I don't have many people to speak to in my head. No, I know that. And that's very controversial, that multiple personality thing. I don't personally believe in it at all. That's not schizophrenia. Don't get them mixed up. So basically, have a chat to yourself in your head, meaning tap into the gut. What is the gut telling you? Do you really need to see someone about the problems, or are you really just avoiding taking a lot of actions on a lot of difficult choices in your life, and you're just afraid to take those steps? Because I bet you've got many friends and family that love you. And if you sat down and said, I'm about to make some decisions in my life that are going to be so hard, I'm going to need you to help me step through each step. And I bet you've all got someone. And if you don't, that's why I'm online. I know there's other people like me online for the same reason. You're never alone. I believe in God, and I believe He stays with the broken. But I'm just saying, some of us, our bodies are broken. You're not alone. I can promise you that. But if you are alone, that is the hardest place to be, but you're doing it. Even though it's not feeling good and easy, you're doing it. And it is what you make it. And I know a lot of you are doing it so well. And I just want to shout out, because I have done that too. And isn't it the best thing in the world to realize that you don't need anyone? Like, you literally don't need anyone. I think if you can ever experience that, that's kind of a blessing, guys. Because those of us that have had to do some things completely alone, there's no one to turn to. There's no one to lean on. There's no one to say, oh, I need help. No one. It's actually a blessing, guys, because most people don't get to experience that, because they've always got someone. They've always got like family, friends, whatever. They've never had to do that, so they don't have that skill. And out of our adversity, we got those skills. And I know how painful those skills were to learn, because I did it that way too. I know how that felt. How do you explain how it felt? It's like being, I guess it's when that inner voice gets real strong, doesn't it? Do this, do that, just take that step, one step at a time. Just do that. Everything's going to be okay. For me, it's always been, I don't know, I think when you're a parent, you've always got that cheat sheet. You know, you've always got your kids to say, I'm doing it for my kids. You know, that's kind of a cheat sheet. But still, it worked for me. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for them. And that's always what's got me through. Even when I don't see them. It still works. Because but to those that do have someone, or lots of someones, please can you give it a go? And instead of making an appointment, first, before you make that appointment, just tap that person on the shoulder. And if that person says no, go to the next one and the next one. Because sometimes in our really dark moments is where we actually learn who's really there for me in my darkest moment. Because like I said, if people can't be with you at your worst, they're not your real friend or family member with good intentions. They're not. They don't want the hard stuff. That's just a cop-out, and that's an unhealthy relationship, basically, no matter what kind of relationship it is. So just try and see if it's a response, and just know that I know it's easier to sort of go, oh, if I just go to a therapist and just dump it, that just dumping it's enough. No, it won't be, sadly. You'll get caught in a trap, and sadly they're doing it, some consciously, some unconsciously. Don't come for me, psychologists, are taking your money to listen to the same crap over and over, and you're not benefiting. You have to say to yourself, and we all have to parent ourselves, guys, and that's the sad, shitty side of being an adult. We all wanted to be one, right? We're all like, I want to be an adult. Oh my God, I can't wait to be an adult, make my own decisions and get the hell out of this place. Oh my God. And then you get there, and guess what? You got to parent yourself. No, you got to do this now. Now you got to do this. No, you can't stop. You can't quit. You got to keep going. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to be a bigger, better person. You got to do this. You got to do that. You have to get your shit sorted, because that psychologist can't do it for you, and they won't do it for you. But they'll happily take your money from your misery. I don't want you to be miserable. I want you to feel resolution. And sometimes that's letting go of things. Sometimes that's fixing things. Depends. Try asking others. If you're alone, there is so much stuff on YouTube to look up on specific topics, for example. And I hope sometimes things that I say for some people is enough. It all depends on what your needs are. However, like I said, seek a medical or a mental health practitioner if you're having problems of the mental kind. Even though that is totally for entertainment purposes only, not what I'm trying to say. I just want to see families be families again. I know it probably won't happen in my lifetime, but if YouTube exists and my videos last a long time and you're my grandkids watching right now, family first. Family first. Family first. Unconditional love. Family first. Blood should stick together. Family first. Unconditional. Take them as they are. So, and if you haven't got people doing this for you, like we all have to do sometimes, we have to be that for others. So we can do that. And sometimes, not all the time, it can heal you. So pay it forward. But I just wanted to point out that that's just my concern, is paying for someone to hear your problems. That makes me sad. I know that some things have to be transactional financially, for sure. But of the spirit, which is the chat, the help with the mental, anything, stress, whatever, Normally it's stress for the average person, because like I said, mental illness is very rare. There's not many. Most it's just this world is very hard and is making people very mentally unwell, and that's different. Mental health is different to mental illness. So basically, I just worry of the money making off the suffering, and then the person not getting anything out of it, which they need. And I think as family, we need to step up for each other and say, that's what we are for each other, because no one knows anyone more than our own family. So that's the message of the video, is don't underestimate, even like a close friend from school that you know is just so good at the chats, right? They're very good at it. Some people are natural counselors. They really are. Some people could be highly educated and qualified, and they're shit at it. Just like people that, you know, some people learn how to fix cars professionally, and some people learn just by learning. It exists, guys. I know merit is merit, don't get me wrong. I don't want to dishonor merit, because merit has to be there. And that's why I feel I can speak on this, because I do have the merit. But at the same time, we cannot underestimate, when you're dealing with the humanity field, just like they won't let people help people in America with their own people, we should be worried about that. That's not a good mentality that they're preaching down to us. It's worse than human rights breaking. It's just disgusting. There is no justification of that except for monetary. They get paid to do their job, and if you do it for free, they're losing money. But that's losing life. They don't care about life. Sorry. Whereas your family and friends do care about your life. Your loved ones care about your life. They do. So, and that is what's part of a relationship, guys. So if you're thinking, but I don't have to listen to my, you know, good friends, you know, close friends and my partner or whatever. I don't have to listen to their problems. You do. You owe it to them to give them your undivided attention, and forget all of your own stuff and be present for them. And then give them whatever assistance you feel will help them, because you know them. You do owe it to them, because that's called a relationship. And it involves a lot of different things to succeed at it. But anyway, just my opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments below. But this is an opinion I wanted to share, because I just felt like maybe no one's thought of it. Maybe you have. Let me know. And to remind people, you could be a good support for someone. So do it. And smile at strangers. Smile at strangers. Bye. See you in the next video. Comment below anything that resonated, because there was a lot of philosophical stuff in this. So anything is welcome.